I don't got nothing.
Psst. Hey, you up? It's time for some coffee. Hot, bold, and full of flavor. Tonya McKenzie and Gia Sneed are my morning coffee.
Good Monday morning, people.
Good morning.
Welcome to another edition of My Morning Coffee with Tonya McKenzie
and Gia Sneed.
How are you guys doing out there? For those of you that are tuned in, we would love to know where you are tuned in from, what's going on with you this morning. Tap in with us. Let us know what's going on. So let's find out what's brewing in the streets with Miss Gia.
Oh, y'all, what's brewing in the streets, man. This weekend was kind of busy for your girl. What did I do this weekend? Oh, I went to a fabulous fundraiser fashion show that one of my friends actually she's my cousin now, learned that about a year ago that we became friends on Facebook, but found out that she's actually cousins to Jeff. So now she's my cousin. She was friend Pam, now she's like cousin Pam, but I guess friend cousin Pam. She put on a fashion show and was for the Pasadena Adult Community Endowment Fund. So it was a fashion show to benefit for scholarships for young students in high school. And so I went to that on Saturday. That was amazing. Shout out to my girls from Chic Boutique. They were the fashion show coordinators. They are online boutique. And they did an amazing job with the fashion show. Really, really cute fashions. So that was fun. Sat at the table with a bunch of beautiful women. Got to meet some new women, new ladies and stuff. And, women, we out here, we're doing a thing, and women were supporting each other this weekend at the fashion show. That was really awesome. So I was kind of on the fence about going because I kind of been in a funk, but I got myself together and I went, and
what's with the funk?
I don't know. Sometimes I don't know if you guys are like that too. Sometimes you just get to a place and you just kind of like, feeling kind of blah about everything, just about stuff. So, so after, getting myself together and getting there, I was inspired. It was really good. So I texted Pam and told her thank you for inviting me because I was kind of in the funk. But being there and being at her table with with her friends really kind of lifted me up, again. So I was kind of like, oh, and stuff.
So I have a girlfriend, really quick. She has talked a lot about being in a funk. I feel like she's been in a funk for the last kind of 3 years. And then she up and moved to BFA out in the Valley, like further than the Valley. Okay. And what I'm trying to get her to understand also is sometimes you have to remove yourself from that environment. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to, as hard as it is, and muster the strength to get through LA traffic. Sometimes you have to get out of your comfort zone, which is really, I think, the uncomfortable spot that's keeping you kind of in your lull. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's true. And I don't know, maybe my funk could have been in correlation with the weather we just was having last week. It was just ugly. And so I was just like, that kind of thing. But sometimes I get in a funk, everything just leaves me, even my whole creativity, everything is just like gone. I don't want to do anything. I start questioning, my business. Why am I doing this? So I kind of did all that this past week. And I don't know, and maybe it could be because it's coming, we're at the midweek and, come April 29th, your girl's going to officially be unemployed, not employed anymore. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I did have a little aha moment the other day. I was laying in the bed and I was thinking, how you start, I was just thinking about stuff and how you go and you fill out applications for stuff. And, like sometimes you apply for credit, you fill out, you're going to get a new car, right. And that little line that says employer, employment, stuff, you fill it out, you be proud. Oh, this is what I work for, that kind of stuff. So then I started thinking, I said, oh, if I have to fill out an application now, I'm gonna have to put retired. So after when I realized that, I was like, wow.
So a status change got you in a funk?
Yeah, I was like, oh, retired. I was like, wow,
Well,
So
see, but that's not all the way true because you are also self-employed. So for people like me, I'm used to putting self-employed, and you can't really retire yourself from your own company.
Well, no,
so-
that's true, but I guess I'm always been putting like,
I know.
workforce, and I was thinking, then I started thinking, God. So I don't know if I was equating like retired, meaning like I'm retired. I ain't gonna have no more money. I don't know. It was that kind of thing. I don't know.
I'm getting old.
Yeah. So I don't
Some
know
of us hope to do that.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know. So that was, because people have been asking me, oh, how do you feel? And I was like, oh, I don't feel no kind of way. I don't feel any different. But I guess when I had that the other day, I was just like, oh, wow. I was like,
do you think people feel like that after they get married?
But then I thought people were going to look at me kind of funny, like on application. Oh, she like,
Retired like before.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh,
bored.
Yeah, right. It's like, so I started thinking I ain't gonna have no more clout now. I don't got no job, so now I can't. I ain't gonna be popping my collar, because
you can't put retired LA County Sheriff.
I was just like
retired lieutenant.
Right. I was just thinking the word like retired. I was like, God, people gonna be like, oh, look at her,
first world problems,
and stuff. I don't know. It was just that. I think also too, because I got to fill out all these new forms now, because once you retire, you got to get different medical insurance, all that kind of stuff. And I haven't filled out those kind of forms since day one on the job. That was like 30-some years ago. So then I'm like, I got to read all this stuff about medical plans and all that. And I was just like, oh my God,
this is so much.
This is so much. I was like, I don't know. So that's kind of how my week had been leading up until the weekend. So. And then
I had a moment.
I had a moment. I'm gonna share this one little thing, and then we're gonna get to Tonya, how Tonya's week was going. So Sunday, we had our chapter meetings, our sorority meetings, Phi Beta sorority. Shout out, Omega Kappa. That's our undergrad chapter, but Omicron Rho Zeta is our grad chapter. So we had our chapter meeting, and we also had chapter photos
that I didn't show up to.
Yeah, we missed you and stuff, but we'll talk about that offline with Tonya and stuff. But go to the chapter meeting, have a good time, coming back home. So I'm out in the car, I'm talking to, one of our sorors, and Sonia. We're in the car talking. So, I got Ella, the dog, right? Mm-hmm. So Ella knows we're outside now. And so she comes out in the yard. So we have a gate that, in the driveway. So somehow Ella gets her head underneath the gate. And so I hear her like yapping, but I'm thinking she just wants to get out, come out the gate and get with us. So I finally get out the car, and I see her head's underneath the gate. And I'm like, look at her, So then we realized that she's stuck. Like she can't get her head from back underneath the gate.
Oh, big head dog.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh my God. So, I called Jeff to come out because I'm like, okay, maybe he can lift the gate up a little bit and we can pull her out, that kind of thing and stuff. So everybody's trying. So I go inside the gate. And so I'm holding her body. So, and he goes on the other side of the gate. So we're trying. So we realized that there's a part of the gate that's a little higher than. So we're trying to
scoot her down to the lower part.
Down.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm holding her, scooting her down. So it's a long gate, and the arm of the gate that makes the gate go open and close. Yeah. So I'm scooting her down. I'm looking at her, trying to make sure she's not in distress. So I'm scooting her down. Guess what I did?
What did you do?
I hit my head hard on the arm of the gate. So now you guys can't see it, but I'm just going to tell you because Jeff said, oh, nobody, you won't be able to see it on air. So, and I'm in a lot of pain. So I have
a bump on your head.
On my head.
I see it.
You see it? It was swollen.
I see it.
Yeah. So I was like, oh
trying
my God.
Save the dog.
Trying to save Ella.
You done got knotted out.
Yeah, I done got knotted out now, trying to save Ella. But see,
because
I'm a fur mom, and
that's parenting.
Yeah, stuff. So that's how it ended the weekend, and I don't, So now my whole thing is like, do I have a concussion? Yeah, I don't know, but but I have an injury, right there, and here it is. I'm thinking, here it is, Gia, you about to retire, and
but if you don't tell people, they won't know.
No. Yeah, but it's there. Can y'all see it?
Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ.
All right. Well, Tonya, what's been happening? What's been brewing in your streets?
Yeah, my streets is hot. Okay.
They're
hot and bumpy. My streets is hot and bumpy and a hot mess. But let's see. We went and saw my sister, my younger sister, for those of you that don't know. My husband and I raised my two younger sisters after my mom passed in 1999. They were 5 and 7 at the time. One of them, Nakia, she went on to go, she enlisted in the Army. And then she became a professional boxer on Friday night.
Okay.
So she's been training. And Friday night was her debut, and it was on UFC Fight Pass.
Okay.
So it's still there, Nakia Williams. So now she's a professional. We
All
can
right,
say
Nakia,
we
shout out
raised
to
a
Nakia.
professional boxer.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures you guys posted, and when I saw that, I was like, "Oh wow!" I was like, I remember you telling me she had been training, stuff and everything. So when I saw the pictures of you and Ray out at the fight, I was like, "Oh my God, my girl's doing it and stuff." And did she win her fight?
She didn't win, but the girl that she fought was like undefeated and ranked number 15.
Yeah.
In the UFC, that whole circuit of things that's above me. But all that being said, now she's a professional boxer.
Well, I saw some of the video of them fighting, and I was like, oh, they don't have no head, no things on their head and stuff, So I was like, oh, they really like doing it. So I was watching, I was like, oh, they like really getting down. So I was like, you know what? So I was like, oh, and Nakia was throwing some blows. I was like, oh, she got some.
They call her Little Punch. Yeah. So this Asian dude came up to us as soon as me and Ray walked in. We were standing there, and he was like, "Oh my God, hi! Are you guys here for Nakia? Oh my God, she punches people in the nose. She cracks them like dudes. She hits dudes really hard." And I'm thinking, I'm glad she ain't never tried to fucking hit me hard.
That's what I was getting ready to say. I was like,
digress.
You know what? I was like, look, Nakia, you and I, we cool, right? We cool because. Girl, I saw you. Look, so all I'm gonna say is like, you know what? Y'all don't want to mess with Nakia.
No.
Okay, and you don't want to mess with Tonya.
And she's very protective of her little
Nakia is Tonya's baby little sister.
So we did that on Friday. Saturday was a blur. I was momming all weekend between domestic duties and baseball and softball. We did all that. Sunday was all baseball. That's why I missed our chapter pictures and our meeting, and I'll try to make it up to folks, but that's
adulting and mommy duties, stuff.
Mommy duties. Tyrone said my wife went through the same thing, changing from being employed by a company to being self-employed. Anxiety set in for her about health coverage and income. She prayed about it and has been successful. She has 3 businesses now.
All right, shout out. All right, wife, girl. Yeah, I know I'm gonna be all right, y'all. I just never really thought about, and it was funny because I have a girlfriend, one of my besties, Cheryl Martin. She's retired LA County deputy, and she kind of had went when she retired a couple years ago, and she was talking. We kind of talked a little bit about it, and I think she kind of went through the same thing. That's what kind of made her. She could have retired earlier, but I think she was kind of hesitant because I think she was kind of going through that whole little anxiety kind of thing and stuff. But look, she's having a good time. She retired, living her best life. And
she got plans. Y'all know she went on vacation. Last year before last, came back with a whole ass house. So
yeah. So
she has things to do.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna be okay. But it was just, it was just that kind of thing. I just, for some reason, I was like, ooh. I think it was the whole buying process is like, oh, retired, like you don't have any, But
did
retirement
you say you were
mean
buying a new car? Is that what you said you were doing?
No, I didn't say I was buying a new car.
Every time she goes somewhere, she just buying something.
But I probably will buy a new car. I always said I was going to buy me a retirement car, but I'm kind of on the fence about that too. Sometimes I get excited about it. Sometimes I'm like, I don't need no.
I see you in a little 2-seater that ain't got a seat big enough for your booty. We're gonna have a problem. So with that being said. It's time to bring on our guest. He's been here before, but a lot has changed since the last time he visited us. I don't know if you guys remember Dr. Carroll Brown, but he's also one of our fraternity brothers of Phi Beta Sigma. Went to Cal State Northridge after we both left, so we weren't there with him. But the cool thing is, many of the things that he has been doing are for all of us. That have graduated from Northridge. So without further ado, let's go ahead and add in Dr. Carroll Brown. What's up, sir?
What's happening?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
What's funny now that you're Dr. Brown, I feel like I have to when I'm talking to you, I have to try to sound all studious and stuff. Before when you was just Carroll Brown, my fraternity brother was like, yeah. But now for whatever reason, she's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have Dr. Brown on. And I feel the same way about our soror, like my one of my neos, Tish Bradley. When she was before she was Dr. Bradley, she was just Tish, that kind of stuff. So now, like when she comes around. Like I sat next to her at the chapter meeting yesterday. I said, "Oh, I got to act right. I'm sitting next to
like I got some sense.
I'm sitting next to Dr. Bradley, also the state director and stuff. So it's kind of like
I'm
Dr.
not that
Brown,
person.
Dr. Brown.
Trust me. I'm not. I only flex if I have to. So I'm not that person.
Okay. What does your flex look like? Why don't you?
So
let the
for
people
example,
know a little bit about you and what your flex looks like.
So a flex. So for me, like I never flex the doctor card. Like, oh, call me such and such, unless I'm in spaces where I need to. For example, recently, my father had just passed away, and so when he was in the hospital, as you know, typically historically, um, you know, they don't treat us African Americans in the hospital with, we don't get the best of care all the times, and you see a lot of that from even with celebrities like Serena Williams. When she had, I believe it's Serena, right? Yeah, when she had, when she was pregnant, and so a lot of times, when taking my father to the hospital and taking care of him and whatnot, I had to play the excuse me, no, I'm his son, Dr. Carroll Brown. And they would, okay, well, hold on, doctor. We'll make sure that the doctor calls you and X, Y, and Z. Now, of course, my doctor is in psychology, and so it has nothing to do with MD, but I do know how to research stuff. So when they would tell me something, I would go immediately, hold on a second, let me research real quick, do my research, and then come back to them and like, well, have you tried X, Y, and Z before X, Y, and Z? And I need to speak to this doctor in regards to this medication. Just making sure that, in his last stint of life, he got the best treatment before they tried to just say, oh, well, let's just send him home. So that's usually when like I have to flex is when, or if like I get a call from someone, hey, such and such needs some support in the hospital. Okay, cool. I got you. And I go in and try to do that.
I appreciate you using your superpowers for the greater good.
Hey, you know what, Dr. Brown, hold on 1 minute, because we're live inside Neighborhood Coffee and Tea in South Bay Galleria, and I want to pause for a minute because there's a few customers in here. I want to let the customer know that the owner is in the back. Sir, he'll be right out with you. He's in the back, so don't go nowhere. Okay? See, so look, I'm working, y'all. Look, I'm retired and I'm working.
Plug and play Gia.
Yeah, so yeah.
So listen, one of the most impactful stories that I've ever heard, and I'm not sure everyone else has, so please share it. When you got to college and you decided to pledge Phi Beta Sigma, one, I want to know why. And then how did you wind up getting kicked out of school? And was it because of Phi Beta Sigma?
So when I got to college in 2005, the fall of 2005, I didn't know anything about fraternities or anything like that. I was just a kid grew up in South Central LA off of Crenshaw and Florence area. So I get there and I meet the brothers, right? And, I go to an event and I meet brothers like my big brother Trey, Gabe, Jermel, and then I meet later on some of the older brothers, and I realize they just like me. And I'm like, wait, you grew up off of here? Oh, you grew up you went to Dorsey? I'm like, wait a minute, y'all just like me. And it just so happened that, I was raised, I like to always say that I was raised by a single parent. My father in South LA who refused to neither bend nor fold, right? And he taught me everything that he could. But when I got to college, it was like one of those kick out the nest, like you got to survive on your own. And so I needed mentorship. I needed black male role models in my life. And that's what they were. And just so happened that they were down to earth people who cared about the community just as much as me. And so, in fact, all of us, the men who were in my life at that time, they all have their doctorates now. They're all married men, successful men in their families, in the communities, taking care of the community, and they all have their doctorate just as me. And so it's that whole concept of iron sharpens iron, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Look at a man or a woman the way that they are, they only become worse. But if you look at them as if they were what they could be, then they become what they should be. And it's beautiful how to have that relationship now that we're almost 20 years in, um, of knowing each other and being a part of each other's lives. It transcended past that to now we're in our kids' lives, right? We're in each other's weddings and things like that. We go to each other's family events, and then more so we're there to support each other in trials and tribulations and things like that. And so that was a huge reason as to why I saw myself being a part of an organization was that I felt like mirrored who I am and who I saw for myself, right? And now the kicked out of school part. So, like I said, I grew up in a house where I was afraid of my father more than the streets, right? He was he was Lawrence Fishburne from Boys in the Hood, right? That was the kind of father I had, right? John Amos from Good Times kind of dad. So it was like, nah, I'm afraid of you. So when I got to college, it kind of got a little crazy. So I joined the frat, and then I didn't tell anybody this, right? And this is a part of the story, right? The glory's in the story. And I didn't go to class, but I was so caught up in the social aspect of things where I was, doing community services, going to parties and different things like that. Um, but I was speaking the game, so it
So,
wasn't
Carol, real quick. So you was hanging out in the square a lot?
all the time. And when people would ask me, all, when people would ask me, hey, what you got going on? Oh, I just got out of class. No, and I've been there the whole time, chilling, kicking it. A couple of my frat brothers was like, nigga, I know you lying. Like, I didn't see you go to class. Like, you've been here the whole time.
I'm gonna say that square got a lot of people kicked out, and academic probation, all that. That square was, even though it was the hub and it was a place for it was the black mecca of Northridge. Okay,
oh, it was,
but,
it was.
But
Wait, but Northridge was the black mecca of LA.
right,
It
exactly.
was.
Yeah, so
It was the HBCU of
hello.
LA.
I need to make a shirt. Yeah, something about CSUN with a PWI time HBCU, because yeah, actually Northridge was, the HBCU, of LA. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that was where I was, and that was where a lot of my maturation happened, because I wasn't exposed to that kind of lifestyle, right? And it was, growing up, it was go to school, come back home, do your work, and if we had practice or something, we would go to that, and that was it. It was very structured. And so to have that autonomy, I kind of went a little wild with it. And so I got a chance to find out who is it that I am, who is it that I want to see myself become. Um, and the school didn't like that. So they at first disenrolled me, DQ'd me, and then I didn't know what that meant, so I didn't care. And then I got a second one in 2009, and it said you can't submit, you can't come back. And I said, wait a minute. And so I went to a counselor, and he was like, yeah, looks like you got kicked out. And I was like, what does that mean? And so and I was like, so what about my classes? And he was like, yeah, no, there is no classes. Maybe you could try to come back and reapply. Wait, I got kicked out of college? How does that happen? And so, um, at a point, and then I still would go back to the quad and not tell anybody. I would still just go hang out with a backpack. And
I was going to ask you, did you have your backpack at all?
Absolutely, I was living the example, right? And so, I realized and so I was like, I got to get back into school, because I worked in probation at that time with youth, helping them get back into school. And then I realized, hey, I'm telling them about college, and I just got kicked out. So I gotta fix this. So I did everything from I would put on a sombrero hat, and then I would go to the park collecting cans to raise money to get myself back in school. I was sending out letters to older frat brothers to asking for donations. Quite a few people helped me get back into school. And then I decided to buckle down, and I ended up finally graduating in 2013. I finally graduated. And then I was looking at master's programs, and I found a program, and I was sitting listening, and then they started talking about their doctorate program, and I said, wait a minute, you mean to tell me I can get a doctorate here too? And they're like, yeah, you can apply. And I was like, well, why not? So who's to say I can't? The worst you can tell me is no, and I'm gonna still go here for my master's. And so I use my experience in the frat, right, from my leadership experience to working with different organizations like MEND, Midnight Mission, Boys and Girls Club, and different things like that, and those leadership skills to show that I have the capacity for the organizational management side, right, and I have the understanding. Then I use my experience of working with at-risk youth probation for the psychology aspect to really help gear myself to get back into this program. And I wrote a compelling letter, and they were like, hey, we'll let you in under conditional status. You just have to show the first year that you can maintain. And mind you, the first year I was working full time. I had another job in downtown LA that I was working part time, and I was going to school every week, meeting with our writing professor, and doing writing lab worksheets to catch up to the level of writing that they required for us. On top of coming home, doing extra stuff like watching Schoolhouse Rock, trying to teach myself like the basics of writing just to get back in. And I ended up getting all A's that first year, got off of conditional status, and then I finished my dissertation a semester early. And I ended up graduating being like ahead of the class and speaking at our graduation. So, yeah. So, like I said, the glory's in the story.
I love your story.
Yeah.
Dennis Powell said, amen to fixing it. Sounds as though it was a great learning experience for you. Listen, I know you had your dad in your life, but I want you to talk about the importance of, even with your dad in your life, or even with a good parent in your life, why mentors are still so very important in our ability to succeed, thrive, and excel.
I think that's a good question. I think um, you need mentors for every aspect, I think, in your life, right? It's the concept of it takes a village to, the old phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. I like to use that as it not only takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to help any of us succeed, right? We have to leverage each other and
Say
lean
it
on
again. Say it again, Dr. Brown. Say it
we
again.
have to leverage and lean on each other to succeed. And so mentorship really helped me grow, because you can have mentors professionally, personally. You can have mentors. I have mentors in regards to I'm newly married, so having a mentor in regards to going to someone and having those conversations about marriage that you don't know and that you were never exposed to, right? Professional mentors, what am I doing with my life, right? How am I, what direction is it that I want to go into my life? um Professional, as well as, hey, here's where I'm at professionally, where do I want to see myself go? So you need mentors in every aspect of your life, because you can't help take yourself down a path that you've never gone before. And so it's utilizing someone to help you, steer you in the right direction, and guide you and walk with you, right? And not tell you what to do, but help guide you in what to do. So I think it's a powerful concept, the role of mentorship, and how it plays, especially in young black men's life, black boys and black girls, right? I think we all need mentorships, and that's, it's interesting because that's kind of the concept of, being in a fraternity or sorority, regardless of which organization you're in. You have your prophytes who help mentor and guide you down paths that they still guide you down even as you're an adult. You could be 10 years in, and I still go to like conferences, and you have old heads there that are like deference, but they have so much knowledge and game to kick down to you from even the professional aspect, fraternity aspect, or even just your life. So I
You
think it's
know,
a huge concept.
you brought up a good point in mentorship, and it's funny how in the era of the days of a lot of buzzwords that people use or throw out nowadays, and I think mentorship is something that I know for a little while it was talked about, but then it kind of died down. And I think mentorship we need to be talking about that and celebrating that more. Uh, um these days because it is important, and it's important to for people to feel so that that a mentor is important. They should seek out mentorship because you're right. I'm from a generation that whole thing is, we don't talk about nothing. Like things that happen in the house, stay in the house, and then we took that further on. Whatever, I ain't talking about nothing I'm doing. I ain't talking about how I'm feeling. I'm not talking about nothing because I was taught, you keep everything, in
Pray
house.
about
Yeah,
it.
we prayed about
Pray
stuff,
about it.
and sometimes praying is good, and we do get answers from prayer, but it's nothing like I have something burning inside that I don't know or want to know, and I talking to somebody, letting them know what I got burning inside, and they're giving me advice or leading me in the direction or a path that that can help me. And that's the only way we get that, I think, is through mentorship. Just like Tanya's self-employed. I'm retired and self-employed, but I've been doing a lot of things for a long time. That doesn't mean I know everything. And
Mhm.
having somebody to go to, because I still have questions about stuff. And sometimes we don't do things because we're afraid if we ask somebody or we say something, they're gonna kind of look at us like we're less
Right.
than or something's wrong with us. And I think
Exactly.
that's because we don't make mentorship a thing. Like, it's okay to come to me and seek advice. Like I go to Tanya about a whole lot of stuff. I'm like, "Shit, I
Mhm.
don't know this
Same,
stuff.
same.
And but also too is because I feel comfortable with Tanya. Um, that she's not going to go and whisper over here to somebody else. Gia came to me and said X, Y, Z, and I can
Right.
believe she didn't know that or something like that. She's always willing to help, or
Right.
and I think we need to talk about that more. And it
Right.
sounds like that's you got a lot of that, and I commend you because if being kicked out of school and not having money and the way you went and you hustled, you collected you put your pride, you sucked all that pride in, and you went did things that a lot of people won't do. And even the whole thing, you went out and asked brothers for money. Like in the black community, we don't be trying to ask if we don't know. We'll ask my mom for some money. I'm gonna ask maybe my uncle, my grandmama, my granddaddy. But I ain't gonna go
Ain't,
to
ain't even asking all the cousins.
right.
We
You know
ain't
what I'm
even
saying?
doing that.
So you sucked your pride in and you was like, look, I need some money. And you reached out to your fraternity brothers, like you said, and asked for help. And like the worst thing they could tell you is no, right? But if you would never reached out, you would have never known. Like they said, a closed mouth don't get fed. And
Yep.
But in this here blue and white family, we call that leaning on the shield. So
Absolutely. I lean hard, right? I am my
it won't
brother's
break.
keeper,
yeah,
It won't break.
right? And the biggest part too, I think, that you mentioned, that generation, right? Because we are a culture and a community of people that we follow habits, right? And so that whole we don't talk about things, we just pray about it, right? But we ignored a huge part of that phrase. We just pray about it. Prayer without works is dead, right? And that's stated
Mm,
in the Bible itself. And so that work comes in with the asking for help, right? That work comes in with the how are you working on your internal demons, right? What are you doing to help improve yourself to be better? Because you yourself can block your own blessing, right?
mm.
By not at least reaching out and leaning on the God for help, right? And sometimes that help that you ask God for could be that person that you need to ask for help. And he could just because he works through us and he uses us as vessels. And so yeah, I had to learn that at an early age, put that pride aside and that's a level of accountability I had to hold with myself and not be afraid to tell people like, look, I'm trying to pay for school. I got kicked out and this is what's happening. And some people I definitely pay back, right? They're like, hey, and I told them, I'm like, look, I'll pay you back. This is and then some people had me write, like, how do I plan to make sure that I'm going to stay successful, in school. So I had to do that too, right? If I was going to get a loan from somebody, what am I going to do to make sure that this doesn't happen again? So people were definitely holding me account, and that's that level of mentorship too, that level of accountability, right? Like sometimes we need a little boots to ass, right? So, and that's what people weren't afraid to give me.
Tyrone said it takes a village. I love learning and sharing in my circle, family, frat, and friends. And Dennis Powell, mentors are a must. My father was present in the home, but absent in my life.
Mm,
Therefore, God had others along the way to help direct and correct my steps in adulthood. And I have my mom, but I will tell you there are many women of Zeta Phi Beta and other organizations older than me that have definitely lent to the woman I've become, the mother that I have become, the professional that I have
mhm.
become. So, with or without parents in the house, I think it's important to have good people around
Yeah,
you. And I think us as a people, we have to start doing better about one, who we allow in our circle, and then two, sometimes correcting the circle. Like it's
absolutely.
okay for us to course correct and help others course correct because we all know we need more of us
Right.
to make things better for the rest of us.
Absolutely.
The hard part is we get very defensive when there's something wrong. But if you surround yourself with good people, you know when they're coming at you with something, they're coming out of the quest to have you be the best you. And I
Yeah,
think that's where we kind of lose our ability to progress is not being able to accept criticism,
Well,
one,
we
and
all
two, being a people that will help our people
right.
course correct.
We all.
yeah.
I think we are people. We always have our boxing gloves on,
For
and
trauma response.
yeah, and we need to take these gloves off, and we need to become better people. And what I'm saying is, like you're saying, not be so defensive about everything. When somebody's bringing something to you, don't always look. We always look for the negativity in it, and we don't never pull out anything positive. Just because someone might be criticizing you or bringing something to your attention, don't always take it in a negative way. Listen, and that's stuff we're not good at. We're not good at listening and digesting and analyzing what's really being said to us or told to us. We're just so much on the defense. We're always on the fence and on the defense. And I think that has a lot to, and that to me spills over into our health.
Yep.
The high stress levels.
Yep.
The different things. High blood pressure, stuff like that. Because we're always like in this fight mode, and we're not happy people because we're always in a fight mode. And the whole saying is, you walk down the street and everybody seems like, nobody wants to smile and just be polite and say hello. Everybody's like ready to fight. Like, why is she speaking to me? Why he speaking to me? It's always that kind of thing. It's like I'm ready. Yeah, you're like come with it.
I watched this documentary recently on Netflix. It's old. I think this is my second time watching it. It was about the crack era. And some of the guys that were selling, they were talking about how hard it was to contain even their good emotions. Like, I can't smile. I can't, it shows it's a sign of weakness. I can't laugh at a joke. I could chuckle a little, but I can't really just laugh with your whole heart. And sometimes I think whether we're selling drugs or whatever we have going on in life, we have made it a habit of suppressing our joy.
Right.
Suppressing our joy. So I want you to talk to me a little bit right now about what you are doing with the young people out there, young Black men from foster care, and how can we as Black alumni better support our younger generation of kids seeking education, regardless if it's at the university or a trade school, but how can we be better
Sure.
utilized in our communities?
So that's a twofold thing. And I'll tap on the first part. What am I doing with young Black youth? And it's crazy because I like to say that there's two important days in your life: the day that you're born and the day you learn why. Right? It speaks to passion and purpose. Right? Like, what is your purpose in life? And a lot of times we try to stray away from it. And I like to say that God's gonna always make sure you get this message when He's ready for you to receive it. And so I always try to dodge the, the whole working with youth sometimes. And I was like, I need to get out of this field. And there came a point where I was just like, you know what? Let me submit and see what God has in store for me. And since then, I've been working with at risk youth. and young adults for the last almost 20 years now. And it's been a blessing because I get a chance to give back to the youth in my community. And right now, I work with an organization called Friends LA, and I am the director of a program that focuses on mentorship for young Black boys in foster care, and that's big, right? And because studies show that um, young Black boys in foster care, they after the age of 11, if not adopted or reunited with their family, they'll end up aging out of foster care, and then what happens to them? Right? They end up getting kicked out of the home, moved into shelters. Majority they will turn to gangs for support. We also see it as a population that goes into the CSEC population and child prostitution, and um, and they become victims of that. And then they turn to drugs and things like that. Um, and so my goal is how can we help fix this, right? And it's not something that's going to be fixed immediately, but helping provide mentorship to these youth, to be able to have someone to talk to, right, and be able to learn how to express your emotions in a positive way, utilizing healthy coping skills and different things like that, shows them that they do have a caring adult in their life and that they can help make that transition, right? Providing them with resources, um, and providing them with a certain level of accountability to show them that, hey, even we can make mistakes, but it's not the mistake that you make, but how do you grow from that, right? And teaching them that it's okay. That's essentially what I do right now, right? And helping keeping these youth out of prison, right? Diverting them from that. I work in the diversion space with this program as well, and it's been a blessing, right? I've seen youth go to college, reach out to me, Cal State Northridge to Long Beach to Cal State LA to trades programs. I've had parents call me up and just thanking me because they've seen a shift, right? As a paradigm shift for these youth, where having that male role model influence in their life, that black male role model influence in their life, has really shown them that someone actually cares. Because when you hear a kid who's been tossed for 7 different homes, and he's now 13, he has no family, parents don't want him, you can understand why he's responding this the way that he's doing. And so it's meeting him where he's at, right? A buddy of mine, Dr. Clayton Johnson, says this in a training. Our job isn't to tell the kids or show the kids or do this. Our job is to be exactly what they need in that moment, right?
Mm.
So whatever moment that kid needs, that's what I hear. If he needs someone to talk to, shoot the breeze, we could do that. He needs someone to hold him accountable, I'm doing that. He needs a hug, I got you, right? And it's showing, and being vulnerable in those spaces is key. And I've seen a lot of success, and I'm happy that it's growing, right? And so the second part of your question is how can we, as Black alum, give back to the youth in our school? It's interesting because I sit as the president of the Black Alumni Association at Northridge, plug, um, and I was reached out to last year in the fall for an emergency hire to teach a University 100 freshman course, called the Black Excellence. And I only agreed to do it because it was called the Black Excellence course, and it was all incoming Black freshmen. And of course, new to CSUN's dynamics and everything that goes on, I was able to help these students understand the culture that comes and the pride that comes from being not just a student, but a Black CSUN student, right? There's a lot of history that comes from that, right? And a lot of what we did was centered around the video Storm of Valley State, right? Because they had no idea about what happened and what those that trailblazed before us created the opportunity for them to have these open and safe spaces, right? We did a lot of work with the Black House and how to help create that safe space. My father has a best friend who was actually at CISA during Storm of Valley State, and who was one of the ones who was protesting, and right. So I was able to call him up and put him on speaker for my students to hear, live, someone give live testimony of what happened at that school and how these people worked so hard and got beat, right, on a college campus, for these students to finally sit here and be present. And it was interesting because a lot of the students came from COVID, right? These are the students that were in locked indoors, right? They didn't have access to seeing their friends, so their dynamics shifted as well. They didn't know how to socialize with each other. I had one student said his one after his first month of being in college, away from his family, one of the things he was proud of was learning how to teaching himself how to grocery shop on his own. He had no idea how to do that. And that's
Yeah,
because we live in an age technology where you can Instacart your food to your house, right? You
Yeah.
don't know how
I never
he
thought
never experienced
about
it.
that.
you know what, Carol? You know what? I'm gonna give some of that to this age of technology, but I'm gonna give a lot of that
To
to
their parents.
75% of that is their parents. These helicopter
Exactly.
parents that didn't teach their, they do everything for them. Back in our day, we going grocery shopping. We met me. I'm getting in the car going to with mama and grandmama and granddaddy to the
Hold the
grocery store.
basket. Don't you move.
Right, yeah, I'm
Don't you
pushing the
touch that in
basket.
that store. Don't you walk off. You better hold this
Right,
basket. Don't
right,
ask for
exactly.
nothing. None of that.
Yeah,
Right? And they never
exactly.
got that. And these students never got that experience.
Yeah,
And so they don't even know. And the experience of being in the line, being told that your total amount is X, Y, and Z, and you only got a certain amount and you got to put something back. You got to be like, well, let me put this
right,
back and put this
right.
back, and maybe I can get that. And all while you got people in, that's an experience, right? And like
Yeah.
you learn how to calculate that stuff. And so a lot of them don't know that and they have that anxiety. So they just cup of
You should
noodles.
ask him. You should ask him. Did he buy any top ramen?
Oh yeah, that's all they had. That's all these students were eating. Top ramen because they didn't know how to cook. They didn't know how to. They didn't
Right.
know how to talk to each other. They didn't know how to. So I had to put them together. I'm like, hey, we're gonna come up with cultural norms, right? What are our norms? Is what are your own norms, right? How do we come up with a norm that you want within this class dynamic, right? And I think and to go back to answer your question, how do we as alumni help? The dynamics of these youth is going back and being more active, right? A lot of the bylaws within the Black Alumni Association, yeah, it's for alumni, but it's also for current students too, right? And so it's for current students as well. It's for alumni, faculty, and staff, right? All of that is a part of the dynamics that the Black alumni serves. And so the first year or two that I focused on was, hey, we have a population of students who are going to hit the workforce who have no idea, who's spent years, the last 3 years in closed doors. So they don't know how professionalism, how do we help them with that, right? How do we help just coaching them, right? How do we help encourage them? What do their resumes look like, right? How to help make that engagement one on one. So it was a lot of going into the campus and submerging ourselves and becoming a part of the campus climate because there was a different dynamics from my generation of being at CSUN to you guys' generation at CSUN. And so a lot of times it was, I don't know you, like, because their defenses are up, right? It's like, wait, who's this guy coming in here talking about he's Dr. Brown and he seems cool and he's trying to help us out, talking about he can help us. No one said that to us for years. Now we got someone talking about they want to help us. Seems sketchy. So it's like building that relationship, right? Building that rapport with students and then exposing them. I'm a huge fan of nepotism. I'll say it myself, right? And it's like, hey, you want to be an engineer? Cool. Let me plug you with somebody who works at JPL as a Black alumni at CSUN. Hey, you're interested in politics? Cool. Let me expose you to somebody here, right? And how do we help alumni be able to give back as well to those students by plugging them in and plug and play, right? Hey, let's expose you. Let's bring some alumni into this course and let's bring some alumni to the Black House to have these dialogues with students to be able to engage with them. And so we've seen a lot of positivity from that. We're getting ready to launch work on a Ask a Matador platform where students can write a question and it'll go out to Black alumni and they'll get a response in regards to how to do certain things. We just were invited by the president, and so I did a lot of work in building a relationship with the new president at CSUN because she's new, and some of the rules and policies have changed at CSUN too. So it was, and her focus has been on diversity, which is amazing, right? And how to be more inclusive and create more safe spaces for and close that gap for African American students. And so my thing is well, if we're gonna have this conversation, you need to have us at the table, right? Because we need to be a part of the conversation. If we're gonna speak, if you guys are gonna speak about how to help us, then we need to be there too. Um, and so she's been open. We've had lunch together. Invited us to a new center groundbreaking ceremony that they just had for Autodesk, where it's going to be a new um, center for technology for STEM for students of color and minority students. It's going to be educational spaces and opportunities that are going to happen. And so to be there and have front row seats with the president. Now, mind you, I was like, well, I know I'm not getting a shovel, but I'm coming with my own hard hat, right? I'm making a statement. And so being in that place to be is great because it's allowing us to have a seat at the table with the powers that be and saying, hey, if you're going to talk about things that are going to help us, then we need to be a part of that conversation.
Absolutely. All right, Dr. Brown, why don't you let the people know how they can stay in touch with you, follow you on all the cool things that you have going on. Maybe if they're interested in finding out a little bit more about Phi Beta Sigma, I don't know, they might want to call you. Like, how do the people stay connected to Dr. Carroll Brown?
Email. I have two, drbrown.carroll@gmail.com, carrollbrown3@gmail.com. I'm very big on social media. I'm becoming better at social media. On Instagram, I am Dr._Carroll Brown. Look for the handsome young man in the suit. And I'm on LinkedIn. I do a lot of work on LinkedIn in advertising and promoting on LinkedIn, and also Friends LA. You can go in and look at how to support if you're interested in supporting, Black youth, young Black males in foster care. I'm always looking for experiences and opportunities to help keep kids engaged. Shout out to Black Men Hike. We reached out to them and they provided opportunity to take kids outside of their immediate circle, where their community, and we took them in a trail. And was like, hey, you think you bad? We'll see how bad you are on this 5-mile hike up in a mountain. And they got to just experience and see the world from a different perspective. And you've seen a shift in their thinking. So,
have you heard of Better Youth?
No, I have not. I have not heard
Okay,
of
I'm
it.
going to send you that information, but I am on their advisory board, and they help young people that are interested in entertainment,
Let's do it.
animation, and all that cool stuff. So
I'm here for it.
definitely reach out to you about getting some of your boys in our cohort. I think that would be great.
I got some that love that. And also shout out to the Natural History Museum. I sit on their advisory board, and as we are working to build a new structure for the museum, we have a lot of spaces and opportunities for the community that they want to give back to, in advancing communities of color and whatnot. So I'm super excited.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Dr. Brown, I will say it's been a pleasure having you on the show today. A lot of people don't move me, but you are someone that has always you moved me. You have a special place in my heart. You probably don't know this, but you do. Something about you. You do move me, and I just enjoy listening to you, listening to your journey, and watching you grow from a young man until you're not an old man, but a middle-aged seasoned, a seasoned man.
Gentleman.
I'm gonna have to get back up on the campus and check out the Black House. It's been a while since I've been on Northridge's campus, but I know a lot of things have changing, is growing, doing a lot of different stuff. But I'm gonna have to make some time now that I'm retired. And hang out during the day on the campus. I go there in the evening, when a couple concerts and stuff like that, but not just being there amongst the students. And again, I think I'm gonna map some time out for that because I see that you're doing a lot of stuff with the Alumni Association. You got a lot of great ideas, and I'm all for that.
We're getting ready to do a Dodger game, so we're getting ready to go to.
See, there you go. See, girl. See, Carol, there you go. See, you
Black Heritage Night at the Dodger Stadium. You get a free jersey.
I'm not into baseball like that. I've only been.
You get a free jersey. However, if you don't want to go, you can fund the ticket and send it to a foster youth. That's what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
okay, yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll fund the ticket because look, I've only gone to one in my whole entire life. I've gone to one Dodger game my whole entire life, just one. Okay,
It's
so
about who you go with. You got to go with some
no,
people that
I
have.
will. Hey, I'm just saying. That's just. I look. I know my
even
thing.
I can't even get her to come to the kids' games down at Darby. So
and that's not true. I'm for the kids. She ain't invited me to the kids game. I'm all about the kids, and stuff. Don't look. I'm saying that because look, when my nephew makes it, remember Auntie Gia? Okay, so yeah, yeah, so yeah. But I have another question. I've been admiring your art, so I need the information on that the mask, the Phi Beta Sigma mask you have on your wall.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah, I need that. And does he make a Zeta one?
Yeah, I had that shipped from a connect I met on social on Instagram, KOB Arts, and he's from Ghana, and he made it himself out of wood and carved it and painted it.
Okay, we'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk. I need that. I need to get that for your frat brother, and then of course I need one.
Absolutely. And this is my guy. There's another guy artist in down south in New Orleans, and he does artwork. And he changes the concept of the perspective that we have on gold grills and what that symbolizes. And so this is, I call this Barry. This is Obama with gold fronts in it, and so it changed that whole dynamic. So I got this my little wall.
I'm digging it. Okay, yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. You're a man about change, Carol. You're a man about change.
And you know what? And a lot of it too, and a lot of it too is due to people like your husband being an influence in my life. You know what I'm saying? When I was young, 19-year-old in the frat, running around in conferences, getting into trouble, Jeff was one of those dudes to pull me aside and like spit some game and getting your ass about it.
Yeah.
So out of love. So the Sneeds definitely played a role in who I am. Me and my wife love the Sneeds.
Well, thank you. And look, and we love y'all too. We do. And real quick, we got one of our viewers, Dennis. Don't come down on me, okay? Look, I'm gonna go because Dennis done said something. He done busted me out. Talking about shame on me. So Dennis, look, I'm gonna get to another baseball game, okay? Look, and it's because of Dennis that I've gone to 2 baseball games.
Can we go to a Dodger versus Giants game? Can we do that? No,
I don't know when that game is. We'll look at it. I don't know. They play the Yankees this year.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Giants fan, so I don't really like the Dodgers.
You don't like the Dodgers? No, yeah. See, Kara, that's what I'm talking about. See what I'm So
all right. Yeah. Well, listen.
That's why one of her boys is gonna play for the Dodgers.
That's why we're leaving. Okay. Now. Listen, Carol. It's been fun. We love you. See you next time. All right, y'all. Thank you for being here again for another edition of My Morning Coffee. We will see you next week with another awesome guest. We want to thank our viewers for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. It always makes us feel good to know that you guys are out there and loving the content and just being a part of our little community. So thank you so much for being here. We look forward to seeing you next week. What's up with you?
Nothing.
All right. I'm actually speaking in Portland, Oregon, so I will be out of town for a while. But I'll tell you all about that.
I think you need security to go with you.
I think so, actually.
Yeah, I might need to roll with you because you need protection and all that. So yeah.
I'll see you when I get back. See you guys on Monday. Thanks for being here. Remember, follow us, My Morning Coffee Drip on Instagram, My Morning Coffee on Facebook, and subscribe. We're on.
Yes. Tell your friends and family.
Everywhere. Share with someone. Share the information that we're giving out with someone that could definitely.
And if you want to be a guest and you got something to talk about, holla at us.
And we're going to start having guests live here at Neighborhood Coffee and Tea. So let us know what you have going on. Maybe we'll invite you in. You guys take it easy. We'll see you next time.
Bye.